mattress stitch you will need a blunt ended needle. You can use up any coloured yarn to sew up your squares, as it's an invisible seam and you won't actually see the stitching. I'm going to use this brightly contrasted yarn to sew these two pieces together so that you can see more easily where the needle is going into the work. First of all, you need to familiarise yourself with where you're going to put the needle. So if you look at the edge of one of your panels, you will see that in between the edge stitch here and the second stitch in, if you slide your needle in between those two stitches, you will see that there is a bar, and there is a bar of yarn for every row of your knitting. So I'm going to take my needle under these bars to sew the two pieces together. I'm going to begin with the first panel and taking my needle from the top of the work under the first bar, that's one bar only, bringing the needle back out to the front of the work. Leave a short tail that can be darned in later. Then I'm going to go to my second piece and I'm going to put my needle in to under the same first bar on this piece of fabric, but this time I'm going to take the needle under two bars. When you've done that, draw the needle through. So just to clarify there, I've gone under one bar on side one and two bars on side two. It's the first bar just above the cast on edge. I then put my needle back into that same gap where the yarn is coming out of on the first panel, and I slide my needle under two bars. Then it's back over to the second panel, needle in and under two bars. And from now on, I'm going to repeat that, going into the same gap, under the next two bars, into the same gap, under the next two bars, and then when I've worked backwards and forwards a few times, I'm then going to pull on both ends of the yarn, and you will see that the knitting closes up. When you want to get going again, you pull gently apart so you can see the yarn that you've used to sew up. You then put your needle back into the same gap where the yarn is coming out, under two bars, over to the other side, under two bars, and you repeat this in short steps all the way to the top of the seam. Again, after you've sewn for a short distance, you then pull on both ends firmly until there's no more give, and you will see that the seam tightens up. So if you need to ease in any rows, you can do that by taking your needle under one bar instead of two bars on the side that needs to be eased in. So for example, if I take my needle under two bars here, but on this side that needs to be eased in because it's got fewer rows, I take my needle under only one bar and then go back to under two bars until I need to ease again. That will ease in one row on this side of the work. You need to work out, by looking at the numbers of rows to sew together, where you need to ease and if you need to ease. There are notes in the written blog to help you sew your squares together. If we look at the reverse side of the work, you can see that there is one stitch from each panel taken into the seam. You can see also, if you turn the seam on its side, the panels on their side, you can see where those stitches are, but they are invisible from the front of the work.